Hello everyone, Razorblade Mango here, and here we are, the first video of 2025. And what I wanted to do is come back to the 10 predictions that I made at the beginning of 2024, see if I was right or wrong. Spoilers, I did horribly last year, and then make 10 more predictions for 2025 that will hopefully have a higher hit rate compared to last year's list. So let's start with the first prediction I made in 2024, which is that PlayStation will make a strategic investment in Chinese developer slash publisher MiHoYo. This was wrong, obviously. So PlayStation did not make a strategic investment in MiHoYo. They actually didn't really do much investing or acquiring. They didn't do any acquiring this year as far as PlayStation goes. And the only kind of investment they made was to further buy shares in From Software parent company Kadokawa. That was really the only thing. So I did not get that right, unfortunately. Number 2, I said a big PlayStation showcase will happen in the first half of 2024. And this is when they will finally announce the latest projects from 3 first-party studios, Team Asobi, Bluepoint Games, and Firesprite. And at this event, we would also get announcements of rumored upcoming projects from Sumo Digital and a new team called Ballistic Moon. So I got mainly almost all of this wrong. The only thing is at the big, not like big, but at the most consequential state of play of the year, which was at the normal showcase time frame of May, I said that Team Asobi would announce their new game, which they did, Astrobot, and it came out pretty soon after the state of play, which is really good, but everything else was wrong. We still don't know what Bluepoint, Firesprite are working on. We did get the announcement of Ballistic Moon's project at the January state of play, and it was a remaster of Until Dawn for PS5 and PC that more than likely bombed and wasn't received particularly well. I assume that studio was going to get shut down by this time next year, unfortunately, or sooner, because they were like laying people off before Until Dawn remake even came out, which was just like, oh my god. And then I assume that project from Sumo Digital that was in one of the leaked project lists that is more or less turned out to be accurate. I assume that Sumo Digital project is one of the things that got canceled, because it was apparently some kind of open world game that focused on flight or the speed of movement or something like that. So I think that was I think that's done. Number 3, I said Microsoft will acquire 2 new studios, Crystal Dynamics and Asobo Studio. And this was wrong as well. Microsoft did not acquire any studios this year, which is both surprising and not surprising. It's surprising in the sense that because Microsoft is such a glutton for other studios, I'm surprised they didn't acquire at least one. And then you had them still kind of ingesting Activision Blizzard. So it kind of makes sense that they didn't want to spend any more money on other studios, and when they were still trying to figure out, they actually closed more studios, now that I think about it, than acquire. They didn't acquire any, and then they closed, like, they got rid of Tango Gameworks, they sold them to Krafton, they got rid of Arcane Austin, they got rid of 2 other studios, or they canceled, they closed one and then folded the other one into ZeniMax Online. So yeah, not a good year for Microsoft when it came to talent retention. The other one, 4, Hellblade 2 will be released to glowing reviews. I said a 90 plus on Metacritic and OpenCritic, and it will be seen as an easy Game of the Year contender. And while Hellblade 2 received mainly positive reviews, it was not anywhere close to glowing, and it was not seen as an easy Game of the Year contender, and I personally kind of hated it. Number 5, Nintendo will reveal the next major 3D Mario game, and it will launch with their next console. Not only did Nintendo not say anything at all about the next major 3D Mario game, we still don't have any official information from them on the Switch 2. Speaking of the Switch 2, number 6, the Switch successor will not launch this year, which I got right, but in early 2025, which I assume I'm going to get right. But what I got wrong is that it will be revealed later this year. That did not happen. The Switch 2, besides the confirmation that it's coming at some point this year and it will be backwards compatible, the Switch 2 was not talked about whatsoever as far as details. Number 7, at least one of the big Japanese publishers will be acquired, and the list that I put out was potentially Square Enix, Capcom, Sega, Bandai Namco, or Koei Tecmo will be acquired by one of the mega publishers or a massive corporation. Thankfully, this did not happen, especially my gut telling me that Microsoft was going to make a serious play for Sega or Square Enix. That might happen this year, but because I think it's bound to happen at some point that one of these big Japanese publishers gets swallowed up by one of these mega corporations. Thankfully, it didn't happen in 2024. Number 8, Capcom will finally reveal the 7th mainline entry in the Ace Attorney franchise. While we did, Capcom released 2 Ace Attorney collections, which is cool, the 7th mainline entry in the Ace Attorney franchise is still not been announced. I mean, fuck, we got Onimusha coming back before a new Ace Attorney. We have the announcement of an Okami sequel before the new Ace Attorney. That's wild to me. Number 9, this is the year we will see the titles from Gen Design, which is Fumito Ueda's studio, and Playdead, that Epic are publishing. And I got this half right, half wrong. While we did see a very short teaser of Gen Design's next game, we did not see any sign of Playdead's, which is unfortunate. But given the pedigree of that studio, I assume they're going to have to go at some point, because it's been, God, like, it'll be 9 years in June by the time Inside came out. Man, wow. And finally, number 10, this is a painful one for me. Kingdom Hearts 4 will get a new gameplay trailer, and it will reveal that Star Wars is in the game as a world. That, of course, did not happen. So I did horribly on my predictions for 2024, but I have 10 more predictions for 2025 that hopefully some of these will be right. Some of these are kind of like, I indulge myself to kind of be like a little obvious. Others I'm kind of taking a shot in the dark on. And it's going to be divided very similarly to how last year was, where 2 of these are going to be dedicated to PlayStation, 2 to Xbox, 2 to Nintendo, and then 4 just general predictions that I have for the industry. So starting with number 1, I have PlayStation will re-reveal Fair Games from Haven Studios. It will have a different aesthetic from its original trailer, be announced as a free-to-play game, and have either an open beta or release in early access by the end of the year. I talked about in my last video that I am skeptical of Concord's failure having any kind of big material impact on PlayStation's approach to live services. Maybe some things here and there, but as far as how they release them and what they do, I just think PlayStation is too stubborn. But I think when it comes to this one, this is going to be one of the ones, because believe it or not, this game was shit on even more at the time that when it was announced simultaneously with Concord. You go and look at the dislike ratio even now on PlayStation's official channel if you have that browser extension. Fair Games has more dislikes than Concord does now, even after everything that has happened with Concord. And I'm not saying dislikes are the be-all end-all metric of everything, but it's a way to kind of have your pulse on what's going on. And I feel like Fair Games is one of those games that already it's like tainted. It already has a target on its back. You can make an argument of whether that's fair or not. I would argue that it entirely is, but I think PlayStation are going to have to make changes with this. I don't think this $40 shit is going to fly with Fair Games. They're going to have to make this free to play. They're going to have to release some kind of beta way earlier before it comes out in 1.0. and they're going to have to come up with some kind of, they're going to have to change the aesthetic of this game, because quite frankly, the visual look of this game is ass. As far as this annoying, edgy, young adult, hipster, eat the rich gamers kind of thing. The irony of Sony co-opting this eat the rich thing by making a live service centered around stealing from billionaires, while this game is hawking microtransactions and live service bullshit at you. It just, unless PlayStation, again, unless this is just another case where there is a complete lack of self-awareness like it was with Concord, which I wouldn't put it past PlayStation, they're gonna have to make changes with Fair Games. And I bet Haven is sweating bullets with this game. And I bet that when it comes out, I think way too obvious of a prediction would be that people are just gonna shit on it when this gets re-revealed. So I'm gonna go for the exact variables about how it gets re-revealed and what happens. So number 2, PlayStation will close either Firesprite or Media Molecule before the end of the year. After the multiple closing of studios they did in 2024, which they closed 3 studios in 2024, with London Studio, Firewalk, and Neon Koi. I think PlayStation are not done. I think PlayStation is going to look at Firesprite or Media Molecule and shut them down. My reasoning for why I have Firesprite and Media Molecule on this list is because they lack relevancy. It's that Media Molecule, they have just squandered all of the potential that they've generated over the last few years, like the beginning of the PS3 generation with Little Big Planet and Tearaway. And then they squandered that all on that Dreams project that went absolutely nowhere. It was a total waste of time for them, waste of money. Almost all the big talent at Media Molecule is gone because they want to actually make a game instead of a tool set. And the sad part is they actually made a pretty decent game in Dreams, that like little train building puzzle game that they did, which could have been a really cute game from them if they had just separated it from stupid ass Dreams. So I think Media Molecule's next project is years out. I don't think we're gonna see that until the next generation, until the PS6. This is me being honest, I really think PlayStation is gonna look at Media Molecule and just go, nah, and shut them down. And if they don't do that, I think they're definitely gonna do that with Firesprite, because like I said in the last video, Firesprite had 2 live services in the works. It's been leaked recently that they were assumedly working on Twisted Metal, which got canceled. And then they were also working on a free-to-play sci-fi battle royale game, which, why PlayStation would put any kind of money into a free-to-play sci-fi battle royale game is beyond me. And this was not a project that was done before Firesprite got acquired. This art leaked from this game, and it had PlayStation's logo all over it. It had PlayStation Studios slapped on every single piece of concept art that came out for this sci-fi battle royale game they were working on. So this is another one that is on my list of the live service graveyard that Sony has accumulated over the past few years. And this is an acquisition that makes no sense to me. I understand them buying Housemarque. I understand them buying Bluepoint. I understand them buying Nixxes, because these studios more than have earned it at this point. I don't understand why they would buy Firesprite. There was a report that came out a while back that Firesprite had a really toxic management structure, where you had people that were just being dicks that were there because of nepotism and stuff like that. And apparently a lot of the bigwigs at Firesprite are waiting to get out once their paychecks from the acquisition have stopped coming in. Once they've been fully paid out from the acquisition, they're bouncing. That seems to be the report. So I think Firesprite is the next studio to go if Media Molecule is not on the chopping block. All right, so number 3, Xbox will announce the long-awaited Oblivion remaster during their annual developer direct, and it will launch later this year. Now, this has been a rumor for a long time. I think there is a lot of credence to it because it comes from reliable people that have been talking about it. Xbox has a very leaky chip when it comes to what projects they're working on, and Oblivion Remaster has been one of the big ones, along with the Fallout 3 remaster. But I'm going to say Oblivion. Bethesda kind of needs a win after Starfield, especially after the really bad DLC they put out for it last year. Bethesda really needs a win in the game space, and I think making and releasing that Oblivion remaster for them is going to put some goodwill back into it, especially if the rumor is true that they're going to be using Unreal Engine 5 instead of the shitty creation engine for this game. But I do think it will be, I think it'll be that surprise thing that Xbox likes to throw in as the ooh, look at us, the surprise 5th game at the developer direct, which has kind of been their thing. And it's the thing that works because it gets people guessing. And I think it will launch later this year, and it will sell very well just because it's Oblivion. It's Elder Scrolls. Number 4, Fable will be delayed to 2026 due to needing more time in the oven and wanting to avoid Grand Theft Auto 6, which this to me is, I have always been confused by the hype surrounding this new Fable game, because I have yet to see any evidence that like what I'm seeing is actually how the game is going to be played. I'm really surprised how many people have looked at these trailers that have been coming out over the last 2 years and have said, wow, this game looks great. And it's based on 2-3 seconds of obviously doctored up footage. To me, like, none of the gameplay looks authentic whatsoever for Fable. And I think the fact that this game has been in development before the Xbox Series X was even announced officially in 2019, and it's still not out yet, and they have kind of been playing musical chairs with the staff over at Playground on this team, that to me is not a good sign. And I think them releasing this game in fall of 2025 or whatever, I think even releasing it in the summer is a bad idea, because Xbox has a packed, even if you were to take Fable out of the equation, Xbox has a packed 2025, and they're going to have to be very careful with where they place certain things. And it's the same thing with PlayStation as well. So I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to inspire, if it's not delayed, which I think Grand Theft Auto 6 has a better chance of coming out this year than Fable does, because I just don't think that Fable project is, I just don't see it coming out this year. I think they're going to need more time with it. And I think if they were to release it in fall 2025, that would be an enormous mistake, because Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to eat this thing's lunch. All right, so moving on to Nintendo, we have number 5, which is Metroid Prime 4 will be a cross-gen game and a Switch 2 launch title. This to me is one of the ones that's like, okay, it's pretty obvious. Metroid Prime 4, there's no way Metroid Prime 4 is not going to get a native Switch 2 port when it comes out. It's obviously being held for Switch 2 launch. It's going to be a big game to sell because it's Metroid Prime 4. Even people on the Switch, if they don't end up buying a Switch 2 right away, or they can't get one due to stock limitations, this will be a big thing for Nintendo, Metroid Prime 4. I think this is one of the more obvious ones to me. Another obvious one to me is number 6, Nintendo will sell at least 20 million units of the Switch 2 by the end of 2025. I think this goes without saying, unless they have some severe stock shortage, which I can see, knowing how much Nintendo loves fake artificial scarcity, but I think they're going to want to get more of these out the door compared to the Switch, just to kind of keep their shareholders happy. Because the Switch sold about 15 million units at the end of 2017 when it came out, because of how much of a massive cultural thing the Switch is nowadays, and how much more power Nintendo and sway, how much power and sway Nintendo have these days. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 selling at least 20 million units by the end of its release year is not outside of the realm of possibility. Another obvious one, this we're going to get into more general stuff. Number 7, GTA 6 will make over $3 billion in less than 24 hours after release. And even then, that's like a bare minimum by my standards. I think even if they don't launch GTA Online with the single player portion of this game, Grand Theft Auto 6, it goes without saying that it's going to be the biggest entertainment launch in the history of mankind. I think this thing is going to... You are not prepared for the planet leveling asteroid that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be. I think even making over $3 billion, even that just seems like it's so obvious to me that it's going to make less. It's going to make that in less than 24 hours. I would even argue it's probably going to make $1 billion even before the game even comes out. Once this thing goes out for pre-orders, especially the deluxe editions and I assume they're going to do some, because it's Take-Two and they can't resist, they're going to do some kind of 72-hour early, 96-hour early access thing. You pay like $30 more to get 3 days of early access. This thing is going to easily make over $1 billion before it even officially comes out. It's ridiculous how much Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to make. Number 8. Tencent will succeed in acquiring more of Ubisoft, and the publisher will be taken private, because I don't think Assassin's Creed... I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be a success for Ubisoft, but I don't think it's going to be this company-saving thing that they think it will be. I just don't see it with Shadows. Not after everything that has happened with Ubisoft over the last few years. And with how much like lacking in goodwill they have amongst the hardcore community, I think a lot of normal mainstream video game purchasers are not going to care about that. They're going to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, oh, it's Assassin's Creed in Japan. All right. They're going to buy it. It's going to make money. It's going to be successful. I don't think it's going to bomb. I don't think it's going to be a financial disappointment. But it's not going to be the big thing that Ubisoft wants it to be. And I think Tencent will ultimately succeed in acquiring more of Ubisoft. I think the Guillemot family will still be around, but I think they are going to take the company private. They're just going to buy out all the shareholders, because even if, let's say Far Cry 7 and Assassin's Creed Shadows are successes, it's like, okay, are those two games going to be enough to keep Ubisoft's boat floating, even with the microtransaction money they make from something like Siege? I have my doubts. I have extreme doubts about that. Number 9, the next BioShock game from Cloud Chamber will be announced, because this has been in development for a long time. And I think it is time, especially now that like Judas is kind of out there in the public consciousness, which is the next game from Ken Levine and his Ghost Story Games studio. I think this year is going to be the time that we see the next BioShock game. It's been so long, and it's like, come on, guys, like, shit or get off the pot at this point. Unless the game is in serious trouble, which I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility, but I think we're going to see BioShock, whatever they're going to call it, BioShock 4, BioShock something, I don't know. But I think we're going to see it this year. And finally, number 10, and I'm going to bring this over from last year and probably wrong again because Square Enix hates me. Number 10, Kingdom Hearts 4 will get a new gameplay trailer, and it will reveal that Star Wars is in the game as a world, because I am a glutton for punishment. I don't know what's going on with Kingdom Hearts 4. I find it hilarious that Nomura came out a number of years ago and said, yeah, we announced games too early. It's a big problem for us. Meanwhile, here's Kingdom Hearts 4. See you guys in, at this rate, 5 to 6 years. You know what's crazy when I think about it? Is that it was around this point, like in Kingdom Hearts 3's marketing cycle, that we had gotten 3 trailers for the game by this point. We got the one at E3 2013. We got the next one that was like October 2013 that showed the fight against an early version of the fight against the Rock Titan. It confirmed that Twilight Town was in there. And then you had the next trailer that came out that confirmed, that showed off Olympus footage. It showed Kingdom of Corona. What do we get from Kingdom Hearts 4? You get one trailer that's not even made in the engine that it's going to be released in. And that's it. That's it. That's all you get. You get confirmation that Quadratum is going to be a world. See a weirdo more human-looking Sora. Get maybe Star Wars is in it, which if that is not Star Wars, that world that was shown, That's like, okay. Like, I don't know what was the point of showing that if it's not Star Wars, but okay. But I think this year's gonna be the year, damn it. I'm gonna be pissed off if 2026 comes by and it didn't happen. But I'm gonna believe, damn it. Gonna take a page out of Parappa the Rapper's book. I gotta believe that Nomura and Square Enix are actually making progress on this thing. Even though Missing Link has been MIA for a number of years now. Or it's been a while since we've heard about it. And it was delayed at the last minute, which is not a good sign. And Nomura is still working on Remake Part 3, which... But anyway, those are my 10 predictions for 2025. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen in 2025. 2025 is going to be a weird, crazy-ass year with things coming out. Switch 2, GTA 6, big games from Xbox, PlayStation. Can't wait. It's going to be an exciting year. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time. See ya!